So Geniatech sent out this fun little thing for review. It's an XPI board, single board computer. Cool. So here's Geniatech, and yeah, they have lots of interesting things, including e-ink tablets. So it's called a Cloud Note. I haven't tried one of these before. So yeah, that looks like an e-ink tablet with a Wacom EMR stylus. If you want to actually go ahead and customize your own e-ink tablet, then I'm sure that would be a bit of fun. They did send this out for me, but of course this is not a sponsored video and they've got no input whatsoever into the content, except for helping me trying to troubleshoot some of the problems that I had with this. So let's have a look how I get on setting up the Geniatech XPI board. And I just thought to myself, well, if you'd spent all of your money on maybe the Dasung e-ink screen here, this is the paperwhite 13.3, then maybe you'd only have about £30 left for an actual computer, and well, a single board computer might be the way to go. I thought though, it would just be a bit of fun to go ahead and set up a bit of an e-ink typing station here in this lovely setting. It hasn't always been easy to set up this Pi board, I must admit. It just totally refused to see any peripheries, any keyboard or mouse when it was plugged into my Next dock. So maybe that's the fault of the Next dock rather than it, I don't know. But there we are, power, and you can see it's booted up straight into Debian. And one thing I've done is I've made sure that I've just got a blank white background for the desktop on Debian. One thing you should definitely do if you are ever setting up any machine to use e-ink, you should limit any animations or any complex graphics that are automatically on the background. You generally want pure black and white for e-ink. It came with Debian installed, and of course you can go ahead and install any distro of Linux that you might want to on it. One thing I'm sure I will do with it is I'm sure I will give it to my kids to have a little play with, because I think one of the best things about this type of single board computer is that kids can learn how to code and they can see the internals of a computer and they can understand how computers work. Now, I'm not the world's expert on Linux, and that's not what I'm pretending to be here, but I am quite an expert on e-ink, and whether this is going to work well on an e-ink screen or not is going to be an interesting thing that I'm going to find out here. I think I probably will at some point put Mint on there rather than Debian, because that's the Linux that I've been most used to. You will need some type of USB-C dongle because it only has one USB port, which is of course USB-C now, but it's got one for power. And it's got one for all your peripheries, and then you'll need one obviously to connect in the mouse. See, that's crashed it for some reason. It's been a bit temperamental to get a keyboard and mouse hooked up to it, to say the least. I was really close to giving up there, but now I have the mouse working. I mean, seriously. Third time is a charm, or I don't know how many times that was actually, but there we are, we're up and running. And it's powering the keyboard and the mouse just fine. But it isn't exactly, at the minute, it isn't exactly the most elegant solution. Although it does have Bluetooth on board, and it does have Wi-Fi, a little Wi-Fi aerial on it as well. There's a butterfly in my conservatory, which is nice. So this single board computer, this is the XPI-0, but look, they've got many, many single board computers available, 3 pages of them. And this is this one, XPI-3566-Zero. So it's got a quad-core processor up to 1.8 gigahertz, and I think I've got 2 gigabytes of RAM, and I think I've got a 32 gig storage. I found that really hard to find any details of that on Debian. It does have both Bluetooth and both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so you're happy with that. And it comes with Debian pre-installed. These are not massively expensive at all. You know, I think I have this one, so I think I've got 8 gigabytes of storage. And I thought to myself, well, let's just go ahead and do apt-get and get Google Drive installed on here, but no, it didn't work because unfortunately it is not x86. So the Google Drive you can get from the repository is x86 rather than it being a ARM processor like this is. So it isn't made for the ARM processor, so you can't have that. But I did therefore just go ahead and work in Google Drive in the browser, and it comes with Chromium, which is like equivalent to Chrome really. I think it's quite a romantic idea, isn't it, to have your own e-ink typing station. if you need a board just to go and connect to a certain screen, then yeah, it might well work for you. For me though, yeah, sure, the session that I've had typing away on it was quite nice. But for some reason this time when I was typing into Chromium, into Google Drive, it was taking like whole seconds to update. It wasn't the case before, so I'm not sure what's going on there really. It really does need some kind of bespoke Office app solution, which I'm sure I can get a hold of. However, I'm just really not willing to type into something which isn't automatically updating into the cloud these days. This is 2024 and I expect my files to be saved as I go. But it's not the fault of the board, and it's not the fault of the screen that actually this is not an ideal matchup. This is not an elegant working station. Honestly, this screen is in the region of about 700, 800 pounds, and the mechanical keyboard about 100 pounds. So I'm not sure I'd recommend setting up just like this at all. What I would probably recommend instead is, if you're looking for an e-ink typing station, just to go for a ready-made e-ink tablet that has the SoC already on board, all the software available via the Google Play Store. This is going to become a little bit of a hobby, a little bit of a project, I think. So I want to know what you think I should do with this little Geniatech XPI board. I'm interested though, you know, this is an expensive e-ink panel, but what about just getting a smaller e-ink panel and sort of building it a sort of bespoke little place on my desk where it can just run a news feed, maybe some pictures, maybe a little typing station. Yeah, I certainly am not going to want the difficulties in getting it hooked up every single time though. And typing away into Chromium has not been a great experience at all. What I will say though is you've seen some e-ink typewriters with mechanical keyboards built on, and they are not cheap. And they aren't featuring big e-ink panels like this, and they aren't featuring wonderful mechanical keyboards of this size. So be aware what you can do at a lower price point. I'm looking at some of the e-ink tablets are much smaller than this, the size that you do get in those e-ink typewriters, and well, they aren't 700 or 800 pounds. For now though, I think I'm gonna have my little typing session, but I'm gonna do it on the Boox Tab X. So Geniatech, certainly if you want to go on a bit of a journey, and it has been a bit of a journey setting this thing up, then they're a brand to look out for. It's funny, isn't it? Why haven't they decided to send me these things? This would be far more up my street to review. They also do sell a lot of e-ink displays. This maybe could be a cheaper way to get a 13.3 inch e-paper display, but they don't actually show their prices online. You have to get a quote because they're more of a business to business company, and they're looking at people selling these to develop into their various products. And that is a very slim e-ink tablet that they've got there. What I was thinking of buying was something very simple like this, designed to go for the Raspberry Pi. That looks cool. So I imagine you could connect something like this up to the XPI as well. Let me know what your thoughts. I'm interested to make this a bit of a project. Let's see where this takes me. Maybe even just get it a little hat like that. Something I can just have a bit of fun programming, because that's what it's all about, having a bit of fun programming.